I fucking swear, man, I was suffering from memory issues now all of a sudden. Every time I try to talk about this shit, it's like something keeps going fucking wrong. Not today. Not today. We're discussing the Screen Act. All right. I'm getting sick and tired of this fucking push for mass surveillance. But we already know what this is, right? And I've talked about this already in the previous video. This is the digital ID that they've been trying to get us to be a part of. But there was too much backlash, so they had to smoke screen it, hence the name, Screen Act. They had to smoke screen it and say that it was for the protection of the children, even though implementing this does not protect children in any way, shape, or form at all. Creating a database of people that is unprotected and easily hacked for all of your personal information to be out in the public is not protection. Period. I don't give a damn. You are verifying if people are kids or not, which already separates the people. All right. It already separates the kids from the rest. Then you're collecting their fucking personal online information. Their location is going to constantly be pinging. If they got a fucking phone, they're going to be downloading apps, etc. As a matter of fact, there's somebody who's going to explain it better than I can, or better than I did. Hear this man. Hear what he has to say. And then I'll continue with more reasons why we should not be doing this fucking Screen Act bullshit. We already got 25 other states doing laws just like this. And then what makes this even scarier is that the Supreme Court has just demonstrated that they are compromised. But that's dealing with a different subject. Let's get into this.
I've strategized about a way to post this without YouTube's filters getting it. I've thought about making a nice long form video with pretty editing. I've even thought about just doing a goofy little enactment where some guy comes out and says things as thank you for doing this. And it doesn't work because YouTube doesn't want you to see this. Not because of the fact that it's true, but because of the fact that it trips the same triggers that are supposed to protect children from bad content. So this is going to be very difficult for me to say. So I'm just going to try to say it as straight and as short as I can without tripping any triggers. The operating system age verification thing that is starting to run rampant across both the United States and the world is a terrible idea. Now, a lot of people have a lot of takes on why this is a terrible idea. I am here to only present you one, and I want you to share it as far and wide as you can. Making operating systems, which means Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android, making all devices verify the age of the user before they can use it, means that now you have all the devices providing an API to their programs that basically say, here's the age of the person using this, do what you will with that information. Okay, now it's one thing on computers, which is stupid on computers, honestly, but think about it on phones. Everybody has a friggin' phone, and if they don't have a phone, their parents have a phone. So, let's take your 10-year-old that you hand a phone or whatever. Okay, you need to verify your age. Phone detects new user, there's pattern changes, whatever. So you need to re-verify. What's your age? Oh, well, I'm under 12. Okay, so now your phone knows that the user's under 12. Okay, now what's a problem? Apps. Lots and lots of apps. It's a problem on computers, it's a problem on phones. And what can apps do? They can get access to this age information. What else can they get access to? Location information. Precise location information. GPS location information. And what do kids like to do? Install games. Install fun apps. So what's going to happen? And I'm telling you right now, and you better tell everybody you know, that if these operating system age verification laws do not get stopped, regardless of all the other potential consequences, you are building a real-time database of precise locations of children that all they have to do is put a fun game on an app store to get real-time access to that information. They will know exactly where the children are. They will be able to track those children's locations and their habits. They'll know that it's a child because you verified that it's a child. So take all of that information. Some predator makes an app and they gather the location information and age verification information for children. Centralize it in one place. Now you have a real-time database of literally hundreds of millions of phones in the United States saying, hey, here's a verified 10-year-old, and they're at this exact location, like they're at this address right now. In real time, every child in the United States in a centralized database in real time for the predators to go and gobble up. That's what you're supporting. If you don't say something about this, if you don't do something about this, that is what these politicians want to do. And given the situation with, the Isle of Man scandal, where a bunch of British politicians were keeping child slaves, basically, and they got in big trouble for it, given, the Epstein Island thing, this is so far beyond any of that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Okay. For starters, there's people who really don't understand how heavy Google is tracking you. We're just talking about Google. I'm not even talking about all the other apps. He explained it perfectly when it came to the apps. Just with Google, go to Google and type in, what's my location? If you're not running a proxy server or you're not doing it through Tor, it's going to give you your exact location. Now think about that while knowing that it's collecting data on you, which is why it's able to target ads at you. Imagine that information being used in the wrong hands. Hackers have already been getting a hold of people's personal information. Now, put an ID to that. Because he's talking about the kids, and the kids are very important, but you are also in jeopardy. I'm just going to be honest here. Your life is in danger now because of this act, because of this bill. We talked about the T app. A bunch of women putting their ID to confirm that they're women into an app. Somebody hacked it. Data got breached. So now their IP addresses, their personal information, their face, everything. It was so detailed that somebody took that information and made a map of all the women and their precise locations. Now, I've told you in previous videos about the amount of missing persons reports I get. And now you're putting your face and your child's in a database that continuously pings your personal location with your habits and hell, your money, all of that, in a nice little file tied to your face. I don't even have to get into the government and how they can use this information to make people that they don't like disappear. It'll be even easier having your ID. And what's crazy is people think that won't happen here in America, but the Supreme Court is already ruling that police can just show up to your house and commit home invasion as long, like hell, with little to no probable cause. Warrantless home invasion. You're just chilling and they just bust the windows out your house. They jumping in now. Imagine that. And they said it was cool. No, watch this shit.
The Supreme Court just issued its final decision in Case v. Montana, a Fourth Amendment case involving a warrantless entry into a gun owner's home. We covered the details of the case in an earlier video. But now the Supreme Court's decision has left gun owners with little legal protection if cops decide to become a community caretaker. Today on Law and Ammo,
notice how it's targeting gun owners, which is why I was so against registration. I shouldn't have to register my gun to anybody. It is my legal right as an American citizen via the Second Amendment. They're in violation. Hell, everything that these gun organizations, I think it was called the ATF, all these dudes, every gun law is fucking infringement and should be considered null and void. Everybody should just be walking with their shit on their holster. And if an officer is bothering you about it, at that point, they're not a legal officer. They're a domestic terrorist. Just like how the Supreme Court right now is compromised and declared war against the people. Just like how the Congress right now are declaring war against the Constitution and therefore against the people. Your freedom of speech has been tampered with. Your Second Amendment rights have been tampered with. Your right to privacy has been tampered with. They're doing illegal searches and seizures on you every fucking day for rights that you already have. And you have nobody enforcing the Constitution. Nobody. People are unlawfully getting locked up. Some getting killed. Listen to this.
Discuss SCOTUS's latest verdict and what it means for the future of the Fourth Amendment and gun rights in the United States. The Supreme Court just ruled against gun owners and their Fourth Amendment rights, dramatically expanding the power of law enforcement to break into your home. Thanks to the recent decision in Case v. Montana, the Supreme Court has blessed warrantless home intrusions for what it calls community caretaking purposes. In fact, because they are acting under the auspices of do-gooders and not for law enforcement purposes, the court held that police do not even need probable cause of any crime to break down your front door with a battering ram. And so today we're going to take a look at what happened, the Supreme Court's decision, and what it means for gun owners. I'm Phil, and you're watching Law and Ammo. We disagree. There's another case we cannot afford to lose. That's GOA.
Bro, there was a part that one of the Supreme Court justices said. All right, because I don't want to get deep into the entire case. I'll link the video in my description, just like how I'll link the other video in my description. But it's amazing. At the same time that they're making it to where our right to privacy again is being violated, and we're all being put in a database, they're beefing up the police and making it to where they're allowed now to just walk into our fucking homes. What does that sound like to you? Sounds like China. It sounds like the UK. What do you think this is going to be used for? Think about how they treated all the whistleblowers during COVID. Now imagine. Remember when I was telling you about the Nipah virus? If they're planning another pandemic, best believe that this time they're going to try to right the mistakes that they've done in the past. They're going to try to fix that shit. They want to get rid of the whistleblowers. They want to control the information. Okay. Certain things are going to be restricted behind a fucking ID age verification. And if you go forward doing that shit, they're going to have you in a database so they can show up and pick you up at any fucking moment. For your kids. Back then when we was telling you, hey, this is what they're planning, this is what they're doing. Don't take the vaccine. Make sure you go outside. Don't stay indoors. Don't don't close the economy, keep the economy open, which is why we lost those 100K jobs. You know, referencing the tariff video I made earlier, where that guy said the tariffs caused that. No, it was COVID. Those companies were still recovering from the loss that COVID brought. They overhired and had to lay people off. They didn't have the resources to compensate. We're still feeling the effects of that shit. If the whistleblowers and the people like me didn't exist during COVID, more people would have died. And it wouldn't have been the virus that did it. So that shit was a 99.98% survival rate, 94% if you were an elderly adult. I'm just being honest here. You were being lied to. They were propagandizing you. And now they're trying to control even more of the information by controlling the internet and making it to where it's easy to locate you when the time needs be. And they're going to do it using the unlawful, warrantless searches of these police officers. They're doing it in the UK right now.
Home without a search warrant based on less than probable cause that an emergency is occurring, or whether the emergency aid exception requires probable cause. Translation to all of this? Can the police break down your door without a warrant or any probable cause at all based on the thinnest justification that something inside might be wrong? Believing that the Fourth Amendment prohibits this sort of outrageous activity, we at Gun Owners of America filed an amicus brief in support of Case. And even though this case involved a tense situation and threats of harm, we can see how an adverse ruling could undermine the Fourth Amendment's protections for all of us. And so we argued to the court that the Fourth Amendment's original basis in property rights should control this case. Police trespassed on Case's private property, and so they should have obtained a warrant, plain and simple. Unfortunately, the courts below had not focused on property rights, but instead on whether the police were reasonable. And that standard of reasonableness is based on a federal judge's idea of what is and is not reasonable. As GOA explained it, if reasonableness is the standard by which the Fourth Amendment is to be interpreted, then the Fourth Amendment ceases to have any objective meaning. And to be clear, experience has shown us time and again that judges are often some of the most unreasonable people in the country. Not to mention, what good is the Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches and seizure if the government can assert some vague community caretaking role and burst into your home with guns drawn for your own good? Let's play for you Case's lawyer's opening statement outlining our point perfectly.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. This court has never allowed state officials to force their way into someone's home without a warrant or probable cause. It should not start now. There is no liberty interest more deeply rooted in the Fourth Amendment than the sanctity of the home. The court has long recognized that physical entry of the home is the chief evil against which the wording of the Fourth Amendment is directed. And the facts here well illustrate what's at stake with such entries. The police entered Trevor Case's home without permission, a warrant, or even probable cause, and they ended up shooting him in his own house.
His argument seems pretty reasonable to me, but apparently the Supreme Court didn't agree. In a remarkable 9-0 unanimous decision, the Supreme Court ruled against Case, holding that, given the circumstances, the police did not need a warrant to enter his home. And so what does all this mean in practice? Well, according to the Supreme Court, police do not need probable cause to break into a gun owner's home without warrants and just shoot them. In a unanimous opinion written by Justice Kagan, she outlined the court's reasoning. In the 2006 case, Brigham City v. Stewart, this court held that the police officers may enter a home without a warrant if they have a objectively reasonable basis for believing that someone inside needs emergency assistance. The question presented is whether that standard means that officers must have probable cause for the intrusion as they typically would when investigating a crime. We hold it does not. To make matters worse, Justice Sotomayor chimed in with her own concurring opinion, and her position is truly bonkers. The risk of escalation by warrantless police entry is also heightened by the prevalence of firearms in nearly half of America's households.
Okay. See how they're targeting gun owners? Bro, I'm telling, we need to start enforcing our rights as we the people. We do. Who's going to check the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court is compromised? When our Congress is all for this illegal ass shit. What the fuck is, bro? So yeah, let's go over this. This is the Fourth Amendment. Which one is this one? Yeah, so this is the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers. This includes ID. This includes your fucking birth certificate, social security, all of that. Papers. And effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, right? Supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized, right? They're using that what they're using this for? is for the kids, the probable cause. Even though what they're doing is keeping constant surveillance on us. They're trying to find a loophole. What the fuck, bro? That's the loophole right there. For the kids, it's the probable cause to constantly surveillance you, even though that surveillance is an illegal search. And then we have the excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed. Yeah, you can say that the fines presented against operating systems not putting fucking age verification in it, 720,000 a person who downloaded, that's excessive, especially for a indie developer. And keep in mind, any law that is presented that violates your constitutional rights are null and void. People should be treating it as such. And back to the whole Fourth Amendment, that thing dealing with that's not probable cause. This is your personal business being violated. Because they're already doing it now. They got AI cameras and shit recording you as we speak. In several places. Even in Florida, there was somebody who created a way for the AI camera to not constantly be able to keep tabs on your fucking sorry, I'm trying to think. Your license plate. It's visible to everybody else, but the AI camera couldn't pick up on it. So they created a law to make it to where you get the same amount of time as a drunk driver if you do that. So it can further allow for the AI camera to constantly surveillance you and invade your privacy. Dead serious. And I'm gonna be blunt with this. A wellness check is not probable cause for officers to break into your house with fucking riot gear. It's not. You don't need all that to see if somebody is suicidal or not. I said enough, bro. This is getting on my damn nerves. I will leave you with
New York
this shit.
proposed forced every internet-connected device to run mandatory device-level age verification using biometrics or government ID. And then we have the same thing also happening in Florida. We have a New York proposed...
Okay, that's a Fourth Amendment violation. Probable cause does not cover this. Fuck, man. I guess we gotta fucking identify what probable cause is. Cause if probable cause is you just owning a firearm, going back to the whole police shit, then yeah, we have a huge fucking problem. If probable cause is, oh, we're protecting the kids, but clearly the outcome does not protect the children, we got a fucking problem.
Forced every internet-connected device to run mandatory device-level age verification using biometrics or government ID. And then we have the same thing also happening in Florida. We have officially crossed a threshold, I think, of just no return, where if the entire internet at this point, and I'm not talking about, let's say, the United States internet, I'm talking about everyone around the internet, doesn't collectively come together to just say, stop, we've had enough, I think it's pretty much over. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I literally called this 9 months ago, last summer. I said that this is what was going to happen. This was the future if people didn't take this stuff seriously, because so many people like to sit back in the corner and be like, oh, this doesn't affect me. Oh, I live in a completely different country. I don't have to worry about this. I don't live in the UK. I don't live in the EU. I don't live in Australia. I don't have to worry about this. But as I have continued to speak out and talk about this, that domino effect has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and it has affected pretty much every country around the world now. And it is now really striking hard within the United States. You have both sides of our government, Republicans and Democrats, pushing age verification in multiple different states. It is just very bad to see. It's just getting worse. Like, we now have mandatory age verification being forced in Florida. We have mandatory age verification in New York City. This is on top of what we got a week ago, where they were now forcing age verification just to access your PC. For instance, if you're to boot up a fresh copy of Windows or Linux or other various forms of operating systems, you would need to age verify yourself. And regardless if it will be hard or not to implement this, for instance, within Linux, the point still stands, is that a law passed within California, it's official, it's going to happen. Now, will it be struck down by the Supreme Court or not? Who knows? The point of the matter is that we are seeing now a continuous wave of age verification laws and different forms of age verification laws sweeping throughout the world. Not just in the United States, not just in certain specific states, we're talking strictly just around the world. But I would like to remind everybody where this all began last year. It began with this man, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in the UK, having a law come into effect called the Online Safety Act that pretty much kind of made the internet buckle, bend, and censor itself, where everything had to bow down and force age verification on their sites, either through face scanning, digital ID, or other forms of ways to know who you are when you access the internet. And it has done everlasting damage to the internet. It has caused a lot of artists to basically have to self-censor themselves. It has caused fictional content to censor itself or be completely taken down, while you have actual problems within the country of the UK with rape gangs and all sorts of other stuff going on that is completely overlooked or not even giving a fuck about. They don't care about that, but if it comes to online content, icky content that is fictional, they gotta shut that down. And as a reminder, literally a week ago, there was literally a law introduced from the UK to where, like, fictional, like, content between, let's say, brother and sister taboo content, fictional stuff, is instantly banned. But you can marry your cousin within the UK. Completely legal, completely fine. It is so ass backwards how the UK has been, and it is now affecting everyone around the world. It is affecting people in the EU, it's affecting people in Australia, it's affecting people in Canada, it's affecting people in South America, it's affecting people everywhere.
Yeah, the Great Britain influence. Like, I don't even want to finish this shit right now. I gotta show you this shit. Okay. We need to go into this. I know there's a bunch of AI. So, key elements that constitute probable cause, observable evidence, witness accounts, or credible tips. Order of contraband, suspicious behavior, physical signs. But here's the thing that I have that I looked up on my phone. Okay. Because probable cause is more than just mere suspicion. Okay. I'm going to read this to you. Probable cause is the Fourth Amendment standard requiring police to possess reasonable, trustworthy facts and circumstances, more than mere suspicion, to believe a crime has been committed or that evidence exists in a specific location is essential for obtaining warrants, conducting lawful arrests, and performing certain searches. So that man whose house just got broken into just cause he was being violated. They claimed it was a wellness check. They didn't see anything. That's just mere suspicion. Didn't have any real evidence or any real proof of anything. Didn't even have a trustworthy fact. All they had was hearsay. Broke into his fucking house and shot the man. That's that. And they have no probable cause to collect our IDs. They don't. They don't have any trustworthy fact that collecting all of our personal information and placing us in a damn database is actually going to protect children. In fact, it does the opposite. And don't even get me started on the hidden cameras that are just watching us at a constant, just constant surveillance. Our phones that are listening in on us constantly. That's not probable cause. You don't even have a fucking reason for that shit. And now they want to use that information and tie that to an ID that they're trying to force on the American people. That's government overreach. I just had to clear that shit up. It was bugging me. It was pissing me off.
In the United States as well. And so seeing this entire situation, it angers me to my very core that we let a country like the UK, or just any country, honestly, doesn't matter, it's not just specifically UK, but we let one country have a systematic domino effect that has now affected pretty much the entire world. It pisses me off. And seeing this type of stuff, man, is just so annoying because it's coming from both sides. Like, you have people within the Democratic Party, New York City, and you also have people within the Republican Party in Florida fighting for these age verification laws. And when you have both political parties siding with each other, shaking each other's hand, and trying to push this stuff through the door, you know things are not good. Especially when these parties that are currently in power right now around the world are definitely heavily embedded within the Epstein files. And they also are individuals that legitimately don't give a fuck about children because of that. But they turn around and like to virtue signal and say, oh, we gotta protect kids, think of the children and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the most infuriating part. Yeah, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell are testifying and shit, but I still ain't seen no one get arrested. I ain't seen no perp walks. I ain't seen no executions yet. but they're going balls deep with this surveillance shit. That's what's pissing everybody off. All of us.
In reality, they don't give a crap.
And what's crazy is we're supposed to talk to our representatives to deal with this shit. But my question is, will that be enough? That's the part that we really need to think about.
About that. They just want to censor you, know what you're doing, collect your data, sell your data, and just basically make you buckle bend and censor yourself. It's just, this is not a good situation. And seeing so many politicians openly in my country of the United States just advocating and happy about this is so disgusting to me. Now, I pulled something up that I actually asked Grok here about some of the recent stuff that's happened with, like, age verification, and these are the recent examples from certain states. Like, for instance, Colorado. This passed unanimously in Colorado around March 2nd to the 6th, where basically it's advancing to the Senate to force age verification on operating systems like Windows and Linux and stuff. You can see it right here. And then you can also see, like, there would be a penalty up to $7,500 per violation, by the way.
Yeah, that's the unreasonable fines. Well, let's continue.
Absolutely insane. This is the stuff in New York, which I was just talking about. The introduction and amended in recent sessions discussed prominently in the last 4 days as of March 10th. Basically forced age assurance and, mandatory age verification and stuff. Then you got California. Strong support from Governor Newsom signaled in the late February. Ongoing discussions in early March tied to it to federal efforts. Basically, the federal government's all on board for this. And then you have South Dakota, which this is a win right here, by the way. South Dakota apparently killed their bill on March 2nd. So this bill just straight up died, and it's not passing through. So from my...
Why can't we be like South Dakota? They seem to be the only... Is this the only state that's actually following the Constitution? All right.
My understanding, good on South Dakota. So if this is actually true and it's not going to come back, that's a win. That's a massive win. Good on South Dakota. But the point of the matter is that this is obviously a symptom of other things that are going on behind the scenes, which I've already talked about. You have, like, for instance, the COSA Act and you have the Screen Act that are in the actual government right now to be voted on that could literally affect every single state in the United States. And I would like to remind everybody, just because, let's say, you don't live in the United States or in a certain state that's currently being affected, doesn't mean this is not going to affect you. I've said this over and over and over and over again. It started with the UK, started with the EU. Now look at it. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. You have Discord trying to do crazy bullshit. You have Apple doing stuff now. You have Minecraft doing stuff. Microsoft doing stuff. Spotify. You get the point. It's gotten bad, man. It's gotten legitimately bad. And I just, like, look at this one. New York proposes SO 8102, which would enforce every internet-connected device to run mandatory device-level age verification using biometrics or government IDs. This isn't just about kids online. It builds a permanent trackable identity layer across the internet, and that is a big detail here. What is going on is they want to profile and identify every single person that is communicating online, know what you're doing at any given time, not just, like I said, sell your data and stuff, but for they can monitor you, know what you're doing at any point, and potentially censor you or even arrest you if you post, let's say, the wrong meme or the wrong opinion online. That is absolutely horrifying. I mean, there's literally ads within the UK they're making of terrified children that if they post the wrong meme online of an anime, they can have a criminal record. So this is the future. This is what's going to happen if there is not more pushback. And look, I've talked about this already, but we are now at a point, we are across the threshold. We are past the threshold of no return, of just, like, at this point, if we don't see the entire collective of the internet really rally together and try to fully push back against this, it's over. And I don't like being a doom poster. I don't like being doom and gloom here, but it is the truth, because this is the future now. Every single government is doing this, and the fact that, like I said, you have the Democrats and the Republicans both doing this, pushing this type of stuff within our government right now, and this is going on around the world as well with other forms of government, it's bad. When they can join hands on this, no. So, overall, yeah, there is no good news here, sadly, I can share besides the South Dakota stuff, but I felt like this was very important to bring to light because now it's spreading into other states. It's not just, for instance, like certain states like maybe California or Colorado. It's New York now, Florida, and probably eventually going to hit other states around in, the United States. One last thing I want to say, because I need to reinstate this because it's very important to say, the whole thing of think of the kids, because this is what they like to use a lot to be able to push this stuff forward, to push these laws through. It's a Trojan horse. It's to shut down any form of counter discussion to it or any argument against it, because as I've said already in so many other videos, if you try to talk about this, you don't want these laws in place, people will straight up say to you, why don't you want to protect kids? Why do you want kids to access the internet restricted? That's not the problem. The problem here is that the laws are going to be manipulated and used to restrict adults, to also cause adults to lose their privacy, be doxxed, all sorts of other issues that may arise. But on top of that, the other big issue is it's not about protecting kids. We have seen this time and time again. That is not what it's about. It is completely the last thing on their mind. They're just using it for censorship purposes or control. And that's what we've seen. So I'm tired of people trying to use that as a Trojan horse to push it through the door, because I've also said the biggest way to counter this type of stuff, to stop kids from, let's say, accessing the internet, is parenting. Just be a fucking parent. There's actually an article here that showcases 59% of American adults believe that, it should be the parents' responsibility to protect kids, while only 13% believe that the government should be responsible. So I don't know where our government in the United States is thinking that majority of us want them to be big brother and watch over us, and we want to sacrifice our privacy just for them to, actually put these age verification laws in place. But at the very least, a lot of people, the majority of the citizens of the United States, don't want that. But
sorry. Don't be that I have nothing to hide ass motherfucker either. Don't be that guy. Don't be that bitch. Because that's what you are if you do that shit. Clearly you have nothing to hide. You're not doing anything of any importance. You're not a whistleblower. You're not warning the people. You're not doing anything that is effective, so they're not going to care about you. But any reporter, any news journalist, they're going to need their privacy, and they can't have that if all of our personal information is just online like that. Reporters are going to be turning up dead and their bodies found outside the city outskirts if shit like this gets passed. I'm just going to be blunt about it.
They don't care, and obviously it's not about, protecting kids or anything. It's legitimately just them wanting control, and I hate this, man. It's gotten so bad, and look, I'm sorry for the bad news today, but I need to talk about this because it's important to keep everybody in the light on what's going on and how this slippery slope is getting worse by the week, by the day at this point. But, yeah, hopefully I can share some good news. Maybe, we could see the government shut down the Screen Act or the Kids Online Safety Act and all that. But for now, as we can see, it's just, it's spreading everywhere within, multiple different countries around the world. And United States is now getting heavily affected by it, too, now. But, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. I'd like to hit 500,000 subscribers this year. Leave a like on the video. Helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment down below. It also helps with the algorithm. And I would like to see your guys' opinion on how you feel about all this. But, be safe, stay healthy. Chief.
Well, look. Like this video or not, what I say stands. What these people are saying stands. Shit needs to be done. We need to put in some work. I'm just going to be honest. I say contact your representative. Let them know you don't want this shit. And if they're one of those representatives that are like, we're just going to do it anyway, that should let you know something. I'm done.